Chapter 31. Cold Turkey. Day 70. System Purge. The 1,500 milligrams lasted for 6 hours and 12 minutes. Arthur knew the exact duration because he counted the minutes on the internal clock of his own suffering. When the buffer finally dissolved, it didn't fade gently. It vanished like a blown fuse. He woke up on the carpet. It was dark. The basement studio was a sealed box of dead air. The first sensation was the smell. He smelled sulfur, burning hair. It was an olfactory hallucination, a phantom data packet sent by a frying motherboard. Then came the heat. His skin felt like it was being sandblasted. Every nerve ending in his epidermis was firing simultaneously, sending a signal of damage to a brain that no longer had the chemical dampers to filter it out. Arthur sat up. He screamed. It wasn't a metaphor. He screamed until his throat tore, a raw, jagged sound that died in the damp acoustic foam he had stapled to the walls months ago. Input overload. Critical thermal event. He clawed at his shirt. He ripped the buttons off. He tore the fabric. He needed to get his skin off. His skin was the problem. It was too tight. It was on fire. He scrambled to the corner of the room. He found the service door, the one he had broken into. He needed to leave. He needed to find a bodega. He needed to rob a pharmacy. He needed to find the man in the park. He grabbed the handle. Then he stopped. He looked at his hand. It was shaking so violently it looked blurred, like a low-resolution image. If he left this room, he would die. He knew it with mathematical certainty. He would collapse on the subway stairs. He would get stabbed in a drug deal. He would freeze to death in an alley. The basement was the only container that could hold the explosion. Arthur let go of the handle. He looked around the room. He saw a heavy metal shelving unit filled with old computer parts. He dragged it. Scrape. Grind. Thud. He pushed the unit in front of the door. He piled old towers on top of it. He wedged a chair under the handle. He barricaded himself in. Quarantine, Arthur wheezed. Lockdown initiated. Hour 12. The ants were back. But they weren't just under his skin anymore. They were on the walls. Arthur huddled in the center of the room, wrapped in a dirty blanket he had found in the closet. He watched the water stain on the ceiling. The stain began to move. It dripped, turned into black oil. The oil formed shapes, spiders, centipedes, logic gates. It's not real, Arthur whispered. Visual cortex distortion. Firing error. It is real, the room whispered back. The voice sounded like Miller. You deleted the driver, Arthur. Now you have to run the code manually. He squeezed his eyes shut. The insomnia was a physical weight. His brain was exhausted, desperate for sleep, but his body was vibrating at 100 hertz. Every time he drifted toward unconsciousness, a violent zap went through his head. A brain zap, a common withdrawal symptom where the brain misinterprets sensory lack as a catastrophic fall. Zap. Arthur gasped, his body jerking upright. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't wake up. He was trapped in the boot sequence. Hour 24. He had vomited until there was nothing left but dry heaving that felt like it was turning his stomach inside out. He was dehydrated. His tongue was a piece of felt. He crawled to the bathroom. The sink was dry. The water had been shut off by the landlord weeks ago. He looked at the toilet. There was water in the bowl. Logic gate. Option A. Drink toilet water. Survive. Option B. Die of dignity. Arthur Vane, the director of data strategy, the man who wore bespoke suits and dined at the Modern, dipped a cracked mug into the toilet tank. He drank. It was cold. It was life. He crawled back to the main room. The hallucinations were getting specific now. He saw Elena. She was standing by the desk. She was wearing the midnight blue dress from the gala. "You missed a semicolon," she said. Her eyes were bleeding binary code. "Line 400. You missed the delimiter." "I fixed it," Arthur wept. "I optimized the shards." "You broke the mesh," she said. She reached out to touch him. Her hand was made of fire. Arthur recoiled, pressing his back against the barricade. "Go away," he screamed. "Delete, delete." She didn't disappear. She just burned brighter. Hour 36. The seizures started. They weren't grand mal seizures. They were myoclonic jerks. His arm would fly out. His leg would kick. His neck would snap back. He was a marionette being played by a drunk puppeteer. He lay on the floor watching the dust motes. He realized he was going to die. His heart was beating too fast. Tachycardia. It was fluttering like a trapped bird. This is the crash, he thought. This is the blue screen of death. He rolled onto his back. He looked at the computer monitor on the desk. It was dark. He thought about the backup drive, the photos, his mother. He thought about the code he had released into the world, the chaos he had caused. "Inefficient," he whispered. He closed his eyes. He waited for the heart attack. He waited for the stroke. He waited for the silence. But the silence didn't come. Instead, the pain got sharper. It got clearer. The cotton was gone. The glass box was shattered. For the first time in months, Arthur Vane felt everything. He felt the cold floor. He felt the hunger. He felt the shame. He felt the loneliness. It was excruciating. It was unbearable. It was real. "Signal," Arthur whispered. He didn't die. He lay there, vibrating, sweating, hallucinating, and hurting. He rode the wave of misery as it crested. And as the sun began to rise on the third day, filtering through the grime of the basement window, Arthur Vane took a breath. It rattled in his chest, tasted of dust and mold. But it was air. He was still online.